Welcome, guys, to Influence Matters. We are here in Brickell, Wet Miami, one of the sexiest restaurants where you can find all the surf and turf treasures and also beautiful cocktails, guys. You got to try it. I'm here with Brenda Orelus. Orelus?
Orelus.
Orelus. You know how that French accent, girl. Can't prevent it.
Very good.
Thank you so much for coming, queen that you are.
Thank you.
If you don't recognize the name Brenda, I'm sure you'll recognize Flight Bae B, aka your favorite flight attendant, aka the girl with all the traveling tips.
Facts, all facts, all facts. Hi guys, it's me, Flight Bae B.
Yes, you're an amazing content creator with over 100,000 subscribers on TikTok.
Yeah.
64.5 thousand on Instagram. Am I right?
Yep.
You do have a beautiful community. I love your content. It's really genuine. We have beauty, we have fashion, we have luxury, and also a lot of content related to your job as flight attendant.
Yes.
So my first question to you is, how did you start this beautiful creative journey?
So I started about 12 years ago. I think that's about around when we actually met. And I knew I wanted to be in the creative space, but at the time, I don't think 12 years ago, like influencer or content creator were a thing. So it just seemed like a hobby that I took very seriously. Because you remember back then I had the New Chic.
Yes,
so
yes.
Do you remember the New Chic?
Yes.
Oh my God. So the New Chic was like my first like creative outlet where I started to take content creation seriously. And I could see where this could go, because back then the New Chic was basically for millennials who are on the come up and educating them on basically people who are leading in their field. And we got a lot of traction here in Miami. It was really, really exciting. And I wasn't entirely sure what direction I wanted to go. I had just like dropped out of law school, but didn't know exactly what I wanted to do next. But I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't want to have a 9-to-5 job. So randomly, my best friend's boyfriend's sister, my best friend's brother's girlfriend was a flight attendant for Southwest. And I saw her quality of life. I was like, wow, this is actually a sweet little gig. Like, you don't really do anything. You get to travel the world and you get a pay raise every year without trying. So I was like, yeah, sign me up, because I wanted the freedom to explore and get to know myself. And I kind of knew innately, because I grew up traveling. Mm-hmm. I'm Haitian, so we've always lived like a shuttle life between Haiti and here in the US. So I knew travel was something that I really enjoyed, but I never had thought about flight attendants before. I just flew on the planes and I didn't even think about them. So once that became a reality, something that was presented to me, I was like, yeah, let me go ahead and do that. And I'm so glad that I did, because becoming a flight attendant did so much to transform my life. Not only would there be no Flight Bae B, but there would be no Krew Konnect, which was aviation's first social club that improved the mental health and wellness of aviation professionals. And then that's what got me working with David Gross and Nipsey Hussle between 2017 and 2019, before Nip's passing. And all of those things became possible because
thanks to
becoming a flight attendant. I literally came into the industry and I knew I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I didn't think it would have been for the aviation community. I just wanted, some time to like learn. But as I got into the industry, I realized there were so many issues.
Yes. And your content is actually really resourceful, helpful to people. I really wonder sometimes, how do you balance it out between two flights, creating content? Your content is just on point and consistent. What's your secret?
I don't sleep. I don't sleep. And you know what? And it really is, it's so intense, because it wasn't until like maybe this summer where I started to get a lot more recognition, not only from outsiders, but my own colleagues, because I never really disclose who I work for. So they'll follow me online and they'll be fans of mine. And then like I'll show up to work a trip to Paris and they're like, wait a second, aren't you? I didn't even know you worked for us. And
wow.
They will get excited. And I remember do you remember the yellow outfit that I wore?
Yes.
Let me tell you about this yellow outfit. Let me tell you how this happened. So I had this, it was Fashion Week. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was Fashion Week, Paris Fashion Week. All flight attendants, listen, write this down. layover in cities that are having the events that you like to go to.
See, another tip.
Listen,
write that down.
Is like
write that down.
biggest life hack. So once I realized I can be anywhere in the world at any given time, I was like, fashion weeks. I'm in town, and like I'm not having to pay for my hotel or anything like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm on duty.
Yeah.
They're flying me, and then what's even more beautiful, depending on the airline that you're flying, you're meeting the very people. I met Spike Lee, like literally.
Wow,
like,
amazing.
You meet these amazing people. But this particular fashion week, I wanted to wear that yellow dress that went viral, and on that particular trip,
I DM'd you about the
dress. Yeah. Yes. Listen, I'm not a gatekeeper. I will tell you where I got my outfit from. Like, I want you to run and grab it, because like, and I would tell people like that dress was like $200. Like nobody believed me.
Yeah.
Like, listen, I like to look good, but I also like to be sensible in my purchasing. But on that particular trip, and this is when I realized like my brand was getting so large, and also how exhausting or how involved or how intentional I actually have to be in order to produce such high level content. A few of my colleagues followed me on TikTok but didn't realize that we were colleagues. So now they're like, what are you going to do in Paris? I was like, I don't know. I'm going to shoot some content. You know, I hired a photographer just to follow me around, and, you know, we see what happens. They're like, can we come? And I'm like, okay, yeah, we can come. I'm going to get dressed. You know, we have about 2 or 3 hours to sleep after working the 10-hour flight.
Wow.
From JFK to Paris, landing in Paris. We're supposed to like nap for 2 hours, and then everybody was going to come out with me and get ready and all this stuff. Well, the only constant in aviation is change. And that flight ended up being delayed like 4.5 hours. And
wow.
well, we thought we were going to be getting in the morning. We really got in the afternoon. So really that nap window got eaten up immediately. And slowly but surely, one by one, everybody came up to me like, you know, I would love to come, but I'm exhausted. Are you still going? And I was like, yeah, I'm still going. They're like, but we just worked this flight and it was delayed. And I was like, yeah, that doesn't matter. I have to find the energy somewhere. So sure enough, like everybody went to sleep. I went and shot all of that content. 3 different looks in one day. And it was in the evening when I was getting back to the hotel. Everybody saw me all dressed up and they were like, you really went? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, this is so intense. Like I would never be able to do it. But because it's so second nature to me now, I'm like, what? But I'm realizing like, yes, you're right. You just worked you didn't fly. You didn't just fly from JFK to Paris. You operated that flight. You worked it. So now you're a little bit more tired than what the average passenger would be. And then once I land, I'm still kind of working because I'm like creating content, I'm doing all this stuff. And while it's fun, you do have to be intentional, and it's not easy, but it is rewarding.
And so it's a very intense lifestyle.
Yeah.
How do you find inspiration for all this amazing content? Because every time that I see one of your videos, I'm learning something.
Well, yeah, you know, I think at the root of it, I love history and I love to teach. And honestly, I'm so in love with my life and what it's turned out to be that I'm in kind of awe of it. So when I'm sharing it with you guys, I'm almost like, holy cow, can you believe like this is my life, like casually in like Prague, running around, and tomorrow I'm going to be in Rome, and the next day I'm going to be in Ghana. So for me, I wanted you guys to experience kind of like what I've learned and how different countries, places, spaces, things resonate with me, and also things that I've learned through my travels. So for example, I've been going to West Africa now for going on 6 years. And I remember when I started going there were so many misconceptions that a lot of my followers had. They're like, oh, you know, whatever they thought Africa to be, especially West Africa, especially Lagos, especially Accra, Ghana. And then they see me there, and they're like, wait, is that a Bentley? I'm like, oh, who told you they were poor? Like, who said this? And it's all propaganda, because I find that you really don't experience a country until you go there, and you get so shocked at the realities, and you realize like each country has their own little PR campaign or their reputation that may or may not be indicative of what's really happening. Another thing that I've been able to really change the viewpoint is economies. So when I tell people that there's so much opportunity in West Africa, namely Lagos and Ghana, they think I'm crazy. And I'm like, there's investors coming in left and right. And if you guys don't get serious about it, we're not going to have any opportunity. And I don't know this because I'm some business expert. I know it because I'm flying the routes that these people are taking, and I see who's on these flights, and I speak with them, and they tell me what they're going out there to do. So now I have an understanding of, wow, this is the new gold rush. And sure enough, Ghana had the fastest growing economy in Africa for I think a year straight or 2 years straight. So these are things that in the West we don't really get
communicate about.
No, we don't have that kind of education, because I feel like because we're like the superpower here in the US, we think that we have the best of everything.
We're enough.
Right. And it's like, okay, we've done some great things, but there's also innovation and production and advancements happening right now in other countries. And we have to take out our preconceived notions of what these countries were when we were given, you know, whatever explanation, and really open our eyes to see what they are now. Because look at China. China was not the superpower it was 30 years ago.
Exactly.
So same thing is happening in Ghana.
So what would you say is your relationship with your followers, actually?
So I think I have a healthy balance of, I tell you guys what you guys need to know. So I think it was earlier this year that I started to show a little bit more of my personality, which I never realized I was hiding. But it's not so much that I'm hiding. And this is what I always like. I love I have the opportunity to be more transparent about this. Guys, I'm an active working flight attendant. Meaning there's certain things I cannot say. So I don't want to be online all loose at the lips and now I'm fresh out of a job because I told you something you weren't supposed to know. So
which happens.
It does happen. And I know, I mean, like, there's some things that, not to say my days are numbered, but you know, I know who has their eye on me and whatnot. So in doing so, my content, I feel like for the last whenever I started Flight Bae, was very like, I'll give you some information, but I just stuck to the business. I didn't really like make any jokes, or I didn't show too much of my personality. This year, after of course communication with like my lawyers, my airline, and all this stuff, and just figuring out where that sweet spot is, what I can say, what I can't say, I've been able to show a little bit more of my personality or show things that I enjoy.
Did pick up on that. I noticed that there was actually a beautiful article about you in the Daily Mail, the New York Post. I saw that, girl. Okay.
Thank you.
And congrats on that, by the way. It made me really proud. So I wondered, like, how did your airline reacted when they saw that? Because I think the article was about you posting this video talking about the dirtiest places in the planes, which is not the bathroom.
No, so it's actually there's a few research studies that basically went around, and within aviation, like every little thing has like a research study to find out all these things, because you do have people who are hypochondriacs who really just want to know what to avoid and all of that. So it's so common knowledge to most aviation professionals, but I'm like, oh, you guys don't realize like it's actually the seat back pockets. And research has shown that, and the reason being is because, you know, some airlines do a thorough clean, some others don't. But when the airplane is being circulated throughout the course of the day, it doesn't get the love and tender attention you would want it to be, what you would want it to get, especially with the amount of traffic. That, because almost everybody puts something in there, and I'm like, ooh, here you go. So whenever I see a passenger like put their phone in there or anything, or like they're saying they're sick, I'm like, oh, here you go. Once you get your item out, just make sure you. There's been a few policy changes. I can't say too much because obviously there's like legal ramifications, but I think in the aviation space, I've done something that they've never seen done before, and I've done it with such diligence that I've done it in a way where I've been able to carve out my own lane and have my own platform and create respect independent of being a flight attendant for an airline that I work for, but got it through the research and development and the building of Krew Konnect and really improving the mental health and wellness of aviation professionals, creating an innovative housing property.
Let's talk a little bit more about Krew Konnect.
Yeah. So it's Krew Konnect is, like I said, it's aviation's first social club, and I created it in a response to my own depression being in the industry, being new to the industry. And when I came in, I was very shocked, because when you become a flight attendant, it's like pledging a sorority. You have like so much support, and like you're like, oh my gosh, I'm like joining this community, this sisterhood, this brotherhood, this fraternity of all of these people who travel all over the world. They experience these things, and when I get out there, I'm gonna be flying with my friends. It's gonna be amazing. And that's not the case. And I feel like every flight attendant can attest to this. There's a loneliness that happens with the job, and alienation of your grounded life, and a sacrifice you have to make in order to have a flight life. So what I found happening was my invitations became less and less. I had a great support system with my friends and family, but a lot of friends fell to the wayside because they thought that my
you're
life
not here. You're
right.
out.
They're like, you're not here. Like, oh, you're in Rome, but like I'm in Rome, but I'm in Rome with like a bunch of people that I don't know that don't really like me, and I'm also poor because I'm a new hire flight attendant. And I'm not making any money, so I'm in Rome, but I can't afford to do anything. So those were the nuances of the job and I'm a very chipper person, and I usually go into things knowing exactly what I'm getting into. So I was very taken aback that it was hitting me so hard that I thought the job was going to be this way. And once I actually was living it, it was the complete opposite of what I had been, the dream that I had been sold. And so once I got into the industry and I realized I was so depressed to the point of like, suicidal ideation, I was like, holy cow, like I really need to start getting something. Right. So I started seeking out resources because I'm like, surely this is an industry that's been around for 60, 70 years. There are things in place to help us adjust because it is an adjustment. That's why I tell people when you become a flight attendant, it is not a job change, it is a lifestyle change. And not all airlines equip you with the information you need in order to thrive in this job because there's a lot of loneliness. I'm on the same travel schedule as Beyonce, but no, I'm not coming to crowds. I'm coming here and I don't know anybody. I don't know what to do. I have to figure everything out. And it's overwhelming for someone who's like, in their early 20s, never traveled before, anything like that. For anyone, even if you have traveled, because I had traveled, and I still found it to be really intense. So once I started seeking out resources to solve this problem, I realized like there wasn't any. Well, there was Band-Aids on bullet wounds. Back when I started talking about the mental health and wellness of aviation professionals, it was incredibly taboo. And thank God that David Gross and Nipsey Hussle stepped in, allowing Krew Konnect to be the first company incubated out of Vector 90 back in 2018. Yeah, and it's so crazy because like I never in a million years would have like thought that this is how it turned out. And when we were doing research and development for the clubhouse, it was so interesting to sit down with the entire team at Vector 90 and show them, I'm telling you, aviators, we are the same in so many ways. We can come from all walks of life, but this experience is so unique that I can meet an aviation professional from mainland China right now, and I know we have at least 30 things in common.
I think Krew Konnect opened kind of like a new chapter for your field, because it's almost like social media pretty much saved people's mental health and people's life.
And it was a place where we can talk about it because, again, social media policies on with airlines are very strict. So Krew Konnect back then, we were doing all-inclusive vacations to encourage aviation professionals to take advantage of our flight benefits, because a lot of us in the industry we fly for free, but we don't take vacations because we don't want to see the airport. So facilitating those group trips, then we started doing brunch and day parties where we would convene statewide. We did New York, Miami, LA, just taking the show on the road and allowing aviation professionals a place to talk across company lines. Before I came into the industry, this had never happened. Aviation professionals, if they knew each other because they worked for the same airline and they were typically in the same work group. Before Krew Konnect came along, there was no really events that were catered across company lines and across work groups. Flight attendants stayed with flight attendants, pilots stayed with pilots, air traffic controllers stayed with air traffic controllers. And I feel like a lot of the reason why there hasn't been a lot of change in the industry is because we are so segregated and we don't know what's really going on at different airlines. So once Krew Konnect started to break down those walls and put all of these aviation professionals in this melting pot, we started to get a better idea of what was really happening, not only with one another's airlines, but how our different roles impacted one another. For example, a lot of flight attendants didn't realize that gate agents could be terminated for putting out flights late. We don't get disciplined for flights going out late as flight attendants. So the gate agent is probably taking it personal that we're moving slow, but we're like, that's not a penalty in our work group, but it is in theirs. So with the better understanding of that, we can work together to ensure that the gate agent doesn't unnecessarily receive any disciplinary action, because we can do what we can on board to expedite the process. Those conversations come through connection and taking off your uniform and just getting to know someone as a person. So when Krew Konnect started to do those things, we started to make waves. And back then it was just me. I say we, but it was me and the voices in my head.
I saw you starting, honestly.
Yeah, it was back in 2015. And then slowly but surely we were able to recruit airline representatives and expand. And by the time 2018 was rolling around, we had the backing of Vector 90. And so I was getting business advice and mentorship from David Gross. He's one of the most prolific real estate developers that we have. I was working directly with him.
Your journey is absolutely inspiring. Do you think that anyone could just start as a content creator, the journey and be successful?
I think in this TikTok era, yes. Because I feel like TikTok has leveled the playing field in such a major way, because it's almost like there was like, when it was just Instagram, there was a prerequisite in order to qualify as an influencer. I feel like there was a particular kind of look, aesthetic. If you look at us millennial creators who've been on there, we don't just post. Like everything is curated.
Yes.
And now we're starting to see the shift away from like that heavy curation and more community, building a village around yourself. And I feel like anyone can build a village. You just need to pick something that you can talk about indefinitely, that you are passionate about, that makes you come alive. I think that's the trick of becoming a content creator, and also dedicating yourself to being consistent. I think where the disconnect happens is content creation looks easy, but it's not. It's actually a high skill in order for it to look so smooth. We already know how to hit our angles. We already know what do we need, what camera equipment, what shots, and how we're going to loop it together. So with content creation, it's a muscle. The more you do it, the better you get at it. But if you avoid it, you'll never get to where you want to be.
Yeah.
And I've always invested in my content.
You have always, and the curated. I will always curate my content. I'm never going to stop, okay? And I will attract the community who likes to do so.
I feel like for me, I'm exploring this being a little bit more, what is that called? Spontaneous with my content.
And we're creatives.
Right. I'm gonna see how it works. Because I'm you guys will notice, like, I'm not one to go live. Okay? I'm not one to go live because you're not gonna cancel me for some things somebody said in the background. Like, I do not have time. But at the same time, I also realize, and that's because we come from a background, an era where when I was in school, they said that we shouldn't even take pictures with beers in our hand, right? Because you didn't want to not get a job. So that's a lot of the education that I have. So being completely transparent and really letting the internet get to know me has always been leery, which is why I've always focused on curated content. But over the last year of showing a little bit more of my personality and realizing that my followers have no idea that I'm a joke. I'm like, oh, you guys think I'm a serious person? Oh no, I do serious stuff, and when I get my work done, I get it done. But I am literally jokes, jokes all day. I don't take anything too seriously, and I've been able to discover that a little bit more on TikTok and being a little bit more transparent in that sense, and that has been fun. Well, I'm so excited to be. It's getting to the point I'm flying and passengers, I can't do a sequence without passengers recognizing me and be like, oh my God, you're Flight Bae. And I'm like, oh, and then they're like, oh, can I take a picture? And it's I have to apologize. I have to respectfully decline because, I'm in uniform, I'm on duty. I just don't want to, again, ruffle any feathers. But I was explaining to them why I keep it separate. Everybody has always been super gracious. And I just started to realize okay, I want to lean into content full time. And I feel like I've done enough in this space where I can do so. I've gotten management. Shout out to Bodega 7. And things are looking really, really good. I really want to enter more into correspondence. I just want to talk more. I want you guys to really actually know what
I think it's amazing. I think you're a woman of many talents. Before we go, I do want to ask this last question. You recently, took over Solography Miami as director of marketing. Can you tell us, a little bit more about that before we go?
Yes, absolutely. So the next phase and my focus for the next 2 years is going to be Solography. Solography Miami is a self-portrait studio where you basically can create your own content without having to hire a photographer or videographer. We also turn over all licensing to you, so you also don't have to fight on the back end. And I love it because, as you guys know, with my background in Krew Konnect, I'm always looking for businesses that are innovative and that push the culture, or gonna push the culture forward, and are gonna disrupt their industries. I feel like the reason that Solography is such a major thing is because right now all advertisers are shifting from traditional marketing to influencer marketing. They're
Yes.
increasing their budgets, and content creation over the last 2.5 years has become serious business, especially in locations like Miami.
Thank you for saying that.
Yeah, no, it's big business. It's super big business. And so Solography wants to offer you guys the opportunity to make your content creation seamless. You come in and you can do everything from take your photos to have your podcast to film your beauty YouTube videos all in one space. And we also have regular set designs, changing sets. Right now we have our holiday sets up. You can come
That shot there is amazing,
yeah,
guys.
it's
Yes.
absolutely stunning. So I'm super excited. I'm going to be handling all of the marketing for Solography Miami. And I'm so excited to transform this place into a cultural community creative hub. I want you guys from influencers in the beauty niche to people who basically sit down and do podcasts to come into the space and utilize it for what it has to offer. So I'm super excited.
I am too.
Yeah.
I'm really excited for you. So before we leave, any shameless plug you want to just share, where to find you?
Yes. So shameless plug, first and foremost, follow solography.miami on Instagram, and also follow me, Flight Bae B. Well, Flight Bae B on Instagram and TikTok.
Thank you so much for coming, Brenda.
My
Flight
pleasure.
Bae B. We met 12 years ago, and you still have that amazing light about you.
So do
And
you.
I'm really wishing you to manifest all those beautiful projects you have.
Thank you. I'm so excited.
Yay!
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. We are here in Wet Miami. Feel free to reach out, book a table. We'll see you next time.
Bye.